Thank you, everyone. We'll give people a few more minutes to enter the room. But while we're waiting, I just want to thank you all for coming today. I am very excited to dig into something that is near and dear to me, and that is the value of the strategic administrative professional. So we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Molly Denham. I am CEO of VEXA Services. We help leaders manage their organization's chaos and provide opportunities for growth. I am a career admin professional, and I have been in the admin field for over 30 years. I served 22 years in the U.S. Air Force as an administrative professional, and I ended my career here in lovely Washington, D.C. at the Pentagon, and I was the executive assistant to the vice chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff. And following my retirement from service, I opened my own administrative agency, VEXA Services, and we employ high quality, highly educated US-based admin professionals that provide executive level fractional support to entrepreneurs, small businesses, and independent consultants. I have been doing fractional work since I left the military, and I've been working remotely or a virtual worker, whatever you would like to call it, for the past 13 years. I'm also CEO of VEXA Software, and we design software specifically for today's executive level administrative professional. So as you may be able to tell, the administrative profession is where my passion lays. I have seen firsthand how having the right admin professional boosts a startup's capabilities, organizes the many pots that an independent consultant dips into, and moves the entrepreneur into thinking about growth to actually accomplish it. So let's get to our presentation and dig in. I'm very excited to be with you all today so that I can share not just my passion for the administrative field, but show how the right support can drive growth for your business. We have a packed agenda today, but I will endeavor to keep to our time spot and allow for some Q&A at the end. My goal today is to introduce you to the power inherent and the incredible return on investment to be found by having a strong strategic administrative operations mindset from the beginning. This presentation is geared toward startup and independent consultants, but it's general enough to have applicability to any entrepreneur or executive. No other individual will have a greater impact on your success as a leader than the administrative professional taking the journey with you. Let that sink in for a moment. When we think about leadership, we often picture innovation, vision, or strategy, but rarely do we think about the partnerships that make that leadership possible. Leadership cannot perform in a vacuum, and leadership is not successful by itself. The truth is, behind every high-performing executive, every thriving consultant, and every successful entrepreneur, there's someone quietly orchestrating the details that help make excellence sustainable. That person isn't just support. If used properly, they're an extension of the leader, someone who helps translate vision into action, chaos into structure, an opportunity into results. And that's where we begin today, understanding the strategic value of administrative operations, especially for independent consultants and entrepreneurs. As an entrepreneur, as a leader, your biggest job or your main goal is to grow, to innovate, and to serve your clients or customers. But you can't do that if you're buried under scheduling, emails, and inefficient process bottlenecks. Today, I want to show you how the right administrative ally can help you work faster, smarter, and amplify your impact, all while keeping your business efficient and sustainable for the long term. So let's unpack why this partnership matters so much and what it looks like when it's done strategically. Here's the thing. No matter how talented or driven you are, you have the exact same 24 hours in a day as everyone else. Most independent consultants, founders, and entrepreneurs start their journey the same way. You have a vision, something you know the world needs, a skill, a product, an idea that could change your industry or serve your clients in a better way. It's exciting. And believe me, I have done this for both of my current businesses and the third one that I am working on now. It's fun to have a vision and work on making it come to life. I get that. And in the beginning, many of us try to do everything ourselves. We write the proposal, send the invoice, schedule meetings, manage client work, post social media, build the operating system, because that's what you do when you're starting out. You wear every hat. But here's the catch. What do you want to spend those hours doing? And at what point is it no longer feasible to go it alone? This is why having a strong administrative operations function isn't a luxury. It's a strategy for success. A skilled administrative professional doesn't just manage tasks. They manage capacity. They see your whole picture. They can help identify inefficiencies and help you, quite frankly, get out of your own way. They can streamline communication, set up operational processes, and give you the space to focus on the work only you can truly do. And because two brains really are better than one, do you believe your time is better spent building the business, meeting the clients, and growing your revenue? Or is it better spent in the minutia, chasing meeting dates, answering repetitive emails, or piecing bits of information together? I see it all the time. Founders and consultants have incredible ideas, then they hit a wall. Not because their idea wasn't viable and not because their clients didn't love them, but because they tried to do it all. They become the bottleneck in their own business. Everything lives in their head and is done only by their hand. And eventually, there just isn't enough time left to lead the original vision. The relationship between you and the right admin professional can be amazing. When you have that trusted professional, they quite literally become an extension of you, someone who understands your business, your goals, and your working style. You stop spinning plates and you start building momentum. And that's where growth happens. It does take time, but when you hit that sweet spot where you have a strategic ally helping make your goals happen, it is a thing of beauty. And they say time is the only resource you can't buy. And perhaps that's true, but you can get more time by creating an extension of yourself in your business. That is what an administrative professional can become for you. With a support structure, you can't buy time, but you can multiply your efforts and spread tasks to allow for the right person to do the right job. And even if you are a solo consultant or a solopreneur or maybe even a brand new startup, don't fall into the trap of thinking, I'm not big enough to need help. The truth is, that's exactly when you need it most, because that's when the systems, the structure, and the support that you put in place will determine whether you scale or whether you stall. So far, we talked about how trying to do everything yourself limits your time, your energy, and ultimately your growth. But here's the good news. You don't have to carry it all. When you intentionally build an administrative operations function, you're not just getting help, you're building infrastructure. Think of it this way. A visionary's ideas are like fuel, but without a solid engine, that fuel never goes anywhere. Your administrative operations are that engine. They turn strategy into motion and motion into measurable progress. Now, this is where a lot of people get it wrong. They think hiring administrative help is about handing off a to-do list. But strategic support isn't tactical, it's transformational. A tactical assistant checks boxes. A strategic ally connects dots. They understand where you're headed and they make sure the details line up with your bigger picture. They don't just follow instructions, they anticipate needs. They see patterns, they smooth out inefficiencies and keep your operations aligned with your goals. Over time, they start to think the way you do. They become your sounding board, your second brain, the person who helps you execute your ideas with precision. I have been in the admin profession for over 30 years. I have supported executives with teams of 20 people assigned to their personal office, and I have supported the one-person shop. And in each of these positions, I brought the same value to my executive. high quality administrative professional can become your strategic collaborator. Your job is to look ahead and see where you're going. My job is to look ahead, around the corner, and down the next street. And so I am the first person that, as an administrative professional, that most people encounter before they get to talk to the leader. And this gives me the ability to amplify ideals, vision, message through maybe a different lens, and in sometimes an easier setting and a more laid back environment. The key to how this works so well is that this kind of partnership takes time. We're not magic fairies who wave a wand and fix everything overnight, though sometimes it might feel that way if you have a super amazing admin professional working for you. But I guarantee you, none of us are issued a magic wand to make it all better in the blink of an eye. Building a true strategic relationship requires communication, mutual respect, and patience. It means sharing your goals, your pain points, and your vision, and trusting your admin to help you bring it all together. But here's the reward. When that relation clicks, it's one of the most valuable assets you'll ever have as a leader. Because when you have someone who knows your business as well as you do, someone who protects your time, strengthens your systems, and acts as an extension of your leadership, you stop operating in reactionary mode and you start operating in momentum. This is what I like to call the sweet spot. When you can be the leader, have the vision, be a creative force, while at the same time knowing there is a person in the background making it happen and being that conduit, that bridge to all the different avenues it takes to accomplish your goals. That is when you can truly shine, and growth, quite simply, is inevitable. That's the real return on investment. It's not just hours saved. It's clarity gained, stress reduced, and results accelerated. And your vision, your reason for starting all of this is absolutely worth that investment. So when we have 1,000-piece puzzle, how do you find that one piece that fits just right? So when you realize you can't and shouldn't do everything yourself, the next question inevitably is going to become, what kind of help makes sense for me right now, right? And there's no one right answer here. Every option on this screen brings value depending on your situation, your budget, and your goals. So let's walk through them. First, we have the offshore virtual assistants, and this is often where people start. Offshore virtual assistants are affordable, and many are great at handling repetitive or task-based work like scheduling, data entry, or inbox management. The challenge is usually consistency and context. You may find yourself re-explaining expectations or even trying to adjust to large time zone gaps. It works well if you have a very defined process, but not as well if your business needs someone to help you build those processes with you. In addition, most offshore agencies will do only exactly what you tell them to do. You ask for A, they will give you A. There is no looking out for B, C, or D. It is a very transactional relationship. Next, we have the temp hires. Temporary staff can fill short-term gaps, especially when you need help fast. They're ideal for individual projects or additional coverage during busy seasons. The limitation really is depth. Temp hires rarely integrate deeply enough to understand your clients, your system, and your long-term goals. It's like renting help rather than developing a long-term partnership. This is also going to be very transactional, much in the way that the offshore virtual assistants tend to be. Then you have what I call the individual hires. This is where you hire when you make a LinkedIn or Indeed, or you use an agency like WeWork. You have to find the right fit, and you have to determine if the person is qualified to do what you want. And this model works well for specialized functions such as bookkeeping, social media posting, or customer service. You're getting a trained professional for a specific task, but the relationship is still transactional. You send tasks, they deliver results. It's efficient, but it's not strategic. In addition, you are doing all the work up front, and you need to know exactly what you're looking for, because the wrong hire can cost you in the long run. You're managing outcomes, not developing alignment. So this then brings us to the fractional administrative professional. And this is where my company, VEXA Services, sits. This is where strategy meets flexibility. Fractional administrative support brings senior level expertise. They understand business operations, process design, communication, and leadership alignment. But instead of being a full-time hire, they work with you part-time, but long-term and fully embedded into your organization. That means you get the benefit of a strategic partner, someone who sees across your business, identifies gaps, and helps you move forward, all without carrying the cost of an employee. The value isn't just in what they do, it's in how they think alongside you. Which brings us to the in-person hire. This is traditionally taking on a W-2 employee. And that is a great addition for any business, but it can also be costly. There is overhead with an in-person hire, to include things like tax implications, payroll and HR management, equipment purchases, office rental. This option is not normally viable for entrepreneurs or independent consultants, though it does have appeal, and that some believe it brings validity or prestige to their business if they have a physical presence. And that may be true, but as a leader, especially when starting something new or being a solo entrepreneur or independent consultant, you need to make this decision when it best fits your budget and your needs. And again, none of these options are wrong. The key is to understand what stage you're in and what kind of support you actually need. If you just need tax execution, there are great offshore or project-based solutions. If you're ready to align your operations with your goal, that's where fractional support becomes a game changer. Because at that stage, you're not looking for someone to do things for you. You're looking for someone to build with you. And that's the philosophy we operate under at VEXA Services. We don't replace your leadership, we reinforce it and we enhance it. So we talked about the why, right? We've already mentioned how precious time is. When you invest your time wisely, you open the aperture of what can be done and what can be accomplished in any given day. I am a huge proponent of data, though I do love, a good anecdotal story. And I encourage you to look at the numbers and determine what is right for you. And keep in mind, this will change as your business grows. And offshore may be right for you today, but as you grow, you have to be able to know when your support needs to grow as well. Finally, when you delegate, you really are working to your strengths. This is one of the single most difficult tasks for any leader to do, and that is delegate. We all say the same thing to ourselves. It's just quicker if I do it than to try to spend the time teaching someone else, right? Nobody can do it the way that I can do, right? If I don't do it, how do I know it gets done? Right? We've all asked these questions. These are the same questions that everybody asks. And don't beat yourself up if these are running through your head. You aren't alone. This difference, however, is when you let them hold you back instead of examining these questions and searching for a true answer. Yes, it will take time in the beginning to teach, but once it's learned by someone else, then that task is off your plate permanently. You are absolutely correct. Nobody is going to do a task exactly the way you do. But is that a bad thing? Perhaps, perhaps not. If you have to ask if the job is getting done correctly, quite frankly, that sounds more like a hiring and quality issue and should never hold a good leader back. So let's put some numbers behind it, because decisions like this shouldn't be emotional. They should be intentional and data-driven. The first equation on this slide gives you a quick reality check, and that's your savings. Your savings equals your hourly rate times your time reclaimed. So let's say your time is worth $200 an hour and you reclaim 10 hours a week. That's $2,000 in value gained. And so keep in mind that, this may equate to 30 hours or so a month, right? That's a fraction of the traditional 160-hour work month, thus the term fractional assistant. I will say, and this is just insider baseball for you guys, free advice for you and free knowledge, 30 to 50 hours per month is going to be about the right need for anyone just starting with a fractional assistant. Just some free advice for you. So remember that time isn't something you can get back. You can always make more money, but you can't make more hours. So the real question becomes, where is your time best spent? Is it managing details or driving results? Is it scheduling or strategy? Is it checking boxes or creating opportunities? When you start to view your time as an asset, as capital, something that should earn a return, the decision to get support stops being an expense. It becomes an investment in efficiency, focus, and leadership. The second equation is your ROI framework. So your ROI is your time reclaimed, time your revenue potential, divided by the cost of admin support. It's simple but powerful. Think about it. If you reclaim 10 hours a week and redirect that toward client development or strategic planning, what is that worth to your business? The cost of administrative support really is easy to calculate. The return shows up in a very clear way. There's better thinking, better client service, faster execution. There's momentum. And where there's momentum, money grows. So here's your homework. What I would like you to do for your homework is to take a look at both of these equations. Calculate how much time you could realistically reclaim each week. Assign a value to that time based on your hourly rate or potential revenue. Then compare to the cost of administrative support. I guarantee you the math will speak for itself, because you can't, like I said, you can't buy more time, but you can decide to use your time better. And when you do, you create space for your vision to actually grow. And when you are ready to grow, I hope you give me a call so that I can help you do just that. So as we wrap up today, I want to bring this kind of full circle. We started with the idea that no individual has a greater impact on your success as a leader than the administrative professional who takes that journey with you. That's not theory, it's reality, because success doesn't come from doing everything yourself. It comes from building the right team that lets you focus on where you bring the most value. You've seen today that time is your most limited resource, and trying to do it all can literally cap your potential. A strong administrative operations function isn't just about taking tasks off your plate. It's about amplifying your leadership and capabilities. It's about having someone who understands your goals, protects your time, and helps turn your vision into real, repeatable results. There are multiple options out there, anything from offshore and temp hires to virtual assistants. They all have their place. But when you're ready for a strategic ally, one who thinks with you, that's where a fractional partnership through VEXA Services comes in. And here's my challenge to you. If you're ready to move from doing to leading, and if you're ready to reclaim your time, your focus, and your momentum, let's talk. Visit vexaservices.com or reach out to me via email to schedule a quick conversation. And we can explore how VEXA can help you build the operational foundation that frees you to lead with confidence, because your vision deserves the right partner, and the time to make it happen is now. Hi, I'm back. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope the information was not only informative, but that you have a takeaway and action that can be valuable to your business. Again, please connect with me on LinkedIn, because I love seeing how businesses grow and following along. I want to follow along on your journey. There are a couple of questions that we have in the chat function, so we're going to go to those real quick and see if we can get a couple of them in there. Question number one is, how do I know when it is the right time to bring on administrative support? Great question. And so many New entrepreneurs have a mindset of, I'll wait until I'm bigger. What does that even really look like? I say that administrative support is a growth accelerator, right? It's not some magical level that you reach. There is no one size fits all plateau that everyone suddenly reaches and admin support is the next step, right? However, there are some warning signs that I urge you to look out for and kind of keep an eye on. If you are missing opportunities or you find there are operational bottlenecks that are impeding forward momentum or progress, or you're spending the majority of your time on tasks that do not directly align with growth and are not specifically client serving, then it may be time to look into getting administrative support. And keep in mind our chart showing the different options for different needs. There are so many avenues, and I just encourage you to look at what best fits your needs and capabilities. I tell prospective clients all the time, the sooner you can create and strengthen your administrative operations, the smoother your organization will run as a whole. So I hope that helps some. The next question, what kind of return can I realistically expect from hiring a fractional assistant? Another really good question, and I gave you the formula. Please do the math. It really is that simple. The return on investment by hiring a fractional assistant doesn't just mean that you get a fractional return. Your time is valuable, and having an extension of yourself multiplies your efforts exponentially. In addition to the bare bones figures from doing math, there are other returns that you can get that maybe you don't see on the bottom line. Things like reduced stress or faster client response or increased capacity. Those are often the unsung returns when you have the right admin support in place. So great question. Do the math. How is a fractional assistant different from a virtual assistant? I get it. It's confusing because these terms are often interchangeable. So one thing to think about when discussing virtual assistants as an option is, are you or whoever you are talking with, are they talking virtual as it relates to the workplace? For instance, I consider myself a virtual or remote worker because I am not in an office building. As you can see, I am in my home office. And if that's how the terminology is used, then there is no difference between virtual, fractional, remote. It's all pretty much the same. However, if the term is used as virtual assistant being used to describe an automated system, in the instance of virtual assistant, or some other technology that mimics administrative support, then I think these as using capabilities such as Calendly to assist with scheduling or some other such automated system in the instance of virtual assistant. And that is very transactional. So automation is beautiful. I love technology, and I use as much of it as I possibly can. But keep in mind that automation only does what it is specifically designed and told to do. They are not well placed to be a strategic collaborator with you. And they are not, while they are scalable, they don't really grow as your business grows. So those are kind of the two things that I would recommend when you're talking terminology. Is the virtual assistant referring to location, or is it referring to automation? So hopefully that helps you. One more question, and then I'm cognizant of everybody's time, so I will let you go. But I have one last question. How do I make sure the relationship works, especially if I've never delegated before? So just by asking this question, I can tell you are already on the right path because you're actually asking about delegating. And I love that. I cannot provide you with guarantees because there is no such thing. there's no one guarantee that goes into a successful relationship, right, with you and your administrative professional. What I can tell you, however, is that you need to acknowledge that trust and communication is what will make your partnership and your relationship successful. You also have to realize that these two things takes time to build. A great relationship with your admin professional isn't just about scraping things off your plate. It's about gaining a partner whose only goal is to make sure you succeed. And in order to do that, they need to earn your trust. And that means telling them the good things and the bad. They can't help you or be that extension of you if you hold back information or hold back pieces of yourself. So at VEXA Services, I am very hands-on when it comes to matching clients with their administrative professional, because I know it takes more than skill. It takes personality, a matched drive, a matched outlook on how they approach the work environment, and it's really the ability to effectively communicate with each other. And so I would tell you, especially in a remote virtual environment, communication is going to be key. So please continue to communicate with your administrative professional. So I'm sorry. So sadly, my time is running out, but I thank you all for being here with me today. And I hope you got some good nuggets of information. I encourage you to reach out to me on LinkedIn or visit our website at www.vexaservices.com. I wish you all the best of luck in your business journeys.